Hello, everyone. Wow, such a honor and a pleasure of being here representing Spain and the situation of autism in my country. First of all, I like to say thank you to to Karen, to Autism Today, and of course to Rita and Aspika, because being one of the 7 Hispanic people in the world representing our situation, our experience, and our reality is more than an honor. For me, it's a dream that come true. So, what I'm gonna talk today? Let me share the screen and let's see what it is. Let me share it because it's in Canva and I don't find the Canva here. Yes. So I hope that you can see the screen. Can you see it? I think so. So we're gonna talk about voices unheard in Spain, which is the bridge to close this gap between media, parenting, social change. We're gonna talk. Let me even explain a little bit the agenda. First of all, I'm gonna do a little introduction about who I am. Then we will talk about the current situation of autism in Spain. That will take about 10 minutes. And then 5 minutes for each topic. First of all, I'd love to show some tools and resources that we are doing right now and offering for families and for the society in general, of course. Then I like to reinforce and corporate support and employment inclusions. As we're gonna see in the current situation, of course, the situation of unemployment for autistic adult people is so high, and that's the reason that I wanted to introduce this topic. And also about 5 minutes, we will talk about media, right? What kind of information we are showing in Spain about autism when we are in the general media, in this massive media followed by millions of people, and which is the communication gap that maybe we need to face. Of course, finally, we will finish with a conclusion and a call to action. So just to move forward, let me explain who I am, who I am, sorry. If whenever I pass through this life, if I want to be recognized or remembered, I love to be done by this quote: communication is the best tool to change the world. This is how I feel it. And let me explain a little bit about my journey. A journey that starts when I was a child. When I was a child, I felt that I had a kind of a little space between me and the people around me. Sometimes I felt that it was not easy to connect with this with 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 me and with the rest of the people. And even when I was a teenager, this feeling was even bigger. If I remember the high school moment, I think it's one of the hardest moments in my life. But the light came through, and it was the theater. When I was on the stage, I was really I found my voice. I found that I could connect with other people in a different way. And the theater for me was a kind of a therapy that made me realize that I was really in love of communications. And that's the reason that I studied when I went to the university degree, journalism and advertising. After the university degree, once that I finished this stage of my life, I lived in Ireland for more than 4 years, where I met my wife, Rocío. And that at that time, I was flight attendant. I was flying all around the world. Even I came back to Spain, still flying for a Spanish company. And the good point is that traveling all around the world, my mind was even more open to really understand the diversity and really embrace the difference of each culture um, and people all around the world. I was so lucky that I could travel for free, not even for free. They pay me for traveling, and and that made me, I believe, a better person. But I always felt that I wanted to do something for the communication in the world, and after a while trying, I became director, communication director, DIRCOM, in a multinational company, and I thought it was the pinnacle of my career. Honestly, it wasn't. But in that moment, I thought really managing the strategies of the communication and writing a newsletter or writing something, and later, after some days, see the same that I wrote in television or in the most important newspaper in Spain, for me was amazing, honestly speaking. But at the same time, while I was thinking that I was so good doing communication, uh, I was not able to have a good communication with my son, and I didn't know why. The autism diagnosis of Sergio's was a stopper in my life. At the beginning, it was a big barrier because I didn't know anything about all these people. I didn't know anything about how he could start feeling, or even I didn't know how to communicate with him properly. So I remember that time 5 years ago with a lot of fear, a lot of pressure, a lot of I was like in a traffic, in a red light, in the traffic light in my life, right? Thanks to go to therapies and really understand him better, I really understood that communication, of course, is more than words. Communication is going to the origin, is feeling each other, is understanding the beauty of the silence, of really just embracing ourselves and feeling that it was different. That made me uh, a big transformation, and honestly, because of that, I started to write a book that is called Empresas Autistas. It's called in English, of course, Autistic Business. And at that moment, what I wanted to trans to move was all these games and tools that I learned to really work the communication with my son and move it to the business, because I believe that 70, well, I know it is not, this figure is not, or this insight is not from me. The source is a very big research, that is saying that 74% of problems in companies, the source of them are communication problems not perfectly solved or fixed. So because of that, because I'm still living these kind of problems in my company, uh, I knew that I have to move all these tools to really improve the communication. And because when you improve the communication and you communicate better with the rest of the world, you become a better person. And that's the reason that I believe that communication is the best tool to change the world. So now that you know me a little bit more, let me show you the situation that we have in Spain. First of all, if I need to have a sentence, I believe that we are still in the race to achieve equality. As you see here in the historical perspective, we're almost, if we almost check it like 60 years ago, we have the first specialist school for children with autism. It was established in Barcelona. Like almost 20 years ago, we have the Spanish Confederation, Autismo España, and it was the time when it was started. And if we go like 9 years ago, we have the first policy that was approved by the government to support autistic people. So we have some very good steps, but we still have a lot of challenges. Let me show you the current situation of autism in Spain. If we see figures, over 450,000 people are autistic. 450,000 people. 1 of 100 is autistic. I believe that this insight is even lower than the reality, right? Because if we check it against, for example, the figures that we have in the US, we could even improve the number, right? But we are improving with the diagnosis, and I believe that this number will be bigger in a couple of years. Another really big challenge is the low public awareness and understanding. There is still a stigma and misconception about autism, and there's still a stereotype that is this kind of level 3 autistic person, maybe even non-verbal person, that is, or non-speaking person, that is really different than the one that is a very high effective person that could be totally integrated in the society as everyone, of course, right? So low awareness is something that we need to improve. Also, when we talk about services, there is still a lack of specialized services and support. Families, we are struggle to access appropriate care and resources, and we need to pay for private therapies that cost a lot. A lot. If we check numbers about unemployment, the figure is so high. I have fear about this figure, but this is what we have in the benchmark. So 80% of adults remain employed. 80%. Too many people that too many talents that we're not using properly. And maybe one of the biggest sources of this lackness is the education that we still have in Spain, because we still have inadequate teachers training and inclusions processes in school. We need to still face a lot of barriers. I still live it every day with my kid in the school that he's still going every day. That even sometimes they don't even remember that they need to show what they're gonna do every day with some pictures, right? To show him and make him safe. And this is just a little piece of everything that I could tell you. So, three big challenges that we need to address. First of all, the lack of visibility and representation in the society, and of course the media. Because as soon as we're gonna go for the media, we will see that of course we have news about autistic people, but we need to balance a little bit the type of content. 75% of autistic people in Spain do not have access to the support service they need. 75, so insufficient social support. And because of that, we have a limited access to crucial services. So big challenges that we still need to face to make a better society, of course. For that, let me explain that, of course, we have Autism España, that is a leading organization advocating for the rights of autistic people in Spain, focusing on advocacy, awareness, and providing resources, of course, for family. And of course, for me, the most important thing that Autism España is doing for all of us is to create awareness with the policymakers. Because whenever we need to change the society, of course, we need to change the law. We need to change the resources that we provide to the schools. We need to change a lot of things. And of course, also, we need to change the way to hire people. We will talk about that later. And Autism España is really supporting us in these ways for almost 20 years now. Of course, we're doing to go and improve all these challenges and face them. We have a lot of community initiatives. We have, of course, the World Autistic Day, creating awareness campaigns. We have workshops. I like this art workshop done in the south of Spain, in Andalusia, very well known for flamenco, but not just for that. and also a great parent support groups that are created locally, even in small villages, like in the one that I live. I have a group, a WhatsApp group with more than 40 parents that we share our experiences, resources, and we support each other. But these kind of groups are, of course, are local, regional, like Autismo in Euskadi, in north of Spain, and of course national. And something that I really like to highlight is these local cinemas experiences, sensory friendly movie screenings that we are now able to live, and where they adjust the lighting, sound, the audience expectations, also to accommodate autistic people, autistic children. And it's so good. It's like a safe environment, right? Because you don't need to take care of what the rest of the people that are in the cinema maybe are thinking, because your kid needs to stand up or shout too loud or something like that, because we are all in a safe environment. And how are we creating this awareness. Of course, we have these national awareness campaigns done by organizations like Autism España, but I believe that one of the most important moments that we are living is the social influencers. Here I just show you a lot of pictures from Anabel Cornago, of course, my friend from Abraham, an amazing autistic person that I need to highlight. That is Whiskas or Ainhoa Castaño with an amazing story because she's autistic. And when she was 13 in the high school, the teachers told her mother that maybe she was not able to study because she didn't have the right capacities. And today, at 21 years old, she's one of the best students in Catalonia, where she lives in Barcelona. She got like 3 awards already, and she's studying 2 engineers' careers, university degrees at the same time. Look, whenever you provide the right focus to the right person, there are no limits. And great also channels from families like El Vuelo de Dani are is this kind of light also that you can see every day from Danny. Danny's he's a teenager. He's improving a lot, and now he's focused on sports, and he's doing great steps ahead. So, and of course, we have influencers, big influencers with more than 1 million followers, like Noemi Nisma. The good point, we have them. The bad point is, and I'm not gonna show pictures of these bigger influencers, but if we go for social media for this kind of huge influencer with more than 4 or 5 million followers, they still need to learn and change a lot of things from respecting the 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 situation, for respecting autism as it is. And just because I don't want to be here showing bad experiences, but it's just to show that, for example, they play like monkeys, okay, calling each other as an insult Bautista, because if they say autista is or autist is not possible in the social media, they can be banned, right? But instead of that, they just say Bautista as an insult. The worst point is that this is impacting millions of people, and today we're still suffering a lot of events in schools from teenagers that are suffering bullying. Today the figures is really high. 2 of 3 autistic students are suffering bullying. 2 of 3. And then, of course, this kind of play or game that people with a lot of impact in the society, with more than 4 or 5 million followers, calling each other Bautista as an insult is not just uh, I cannot say that even with words. The feeling for me is so high, and honestly, I love them to stop and to really understand and make an exercise to improve their empathy. So let's as we see, we need to have a lot of support for these families, and I love you to learn more about the tools and resources that we are currently offering. Of course, let me show you some pictures, but when we talk about supporting families, we need to provide a combination of practical tools, educational resources, and emotional support. We do believe that to share effective communication strategies that parents can use in their life is so important. So because of that, I have this book, right? I wrote it. It became a bestseller. It was nominated for being one of the, well, actually, it was the second best book of the year. And at the beginning, it's true that the audience for this book was the general public, right? It was the everyone that is working in a company. Because as I told you, 74% of the biggest problems from a company is coming from a non-fixed communication problem. So because of that, I wrote that. But having an active listening, I realized that a lot of readers are really parents or families that are living the same experience as I am. And because of that, I realized that this kind of games, like to improve the attention, for example, the game that I do to manage the tone of the voice with my son, to low down the voice, the tone of the voice, and create this safe environment and reduce the anxiety for him is really supportive. And again, listening the feedback from them, I realized that it's a great tool for all these families, and I hope that it will be also in English in a couple of months. Another service that I'm providing to our families is a new TV program that I'm leading with a brand, Arenas. For me, the world class expertise about education and neurodiversity, and he's also providing these tips in this program. Also, for me, it's a great community support because we are inviting world-class people that can share their experience and knowledge and really support them. For example, in the first TV program, we have Angel Riverol, and we are providing tips because we know that families with autistic children, we suffer peaks of stress as a soldier in a war. So understanding and living these kind of peaks, we need to have tools. And for that, of course, we have the best expertises as we have from Angel. And of course, supported by Aspica that provide an international reach and support a lot of family, not just in Spain, also in all Latin America and hopefully in English in 2025. Let me also show you Autism Club, a friendly club that is a great, for me, I'm so proud of this company. It was started in Spain. Now it's in Spain, in the US, in Brazil, in a lot of countries, in the UK. And They create and transform environments into a more welcome and inclusive space for autistic individuals. They do training to staff in hotels, in restaurants. They adjust the sensory environment. They reduce the loud noises. They change the environment to make it respectful. So they have, again, as a as a Spanish brand, I'm so proud, and that's the reason that I wanted to highlight it here, as well as a new um, project that is Autism Mind Videos. That is a platform that offers visual learning tools for autistic children to improve the knowledge, playing with them with instructions and yeah, it's a kind of a game, right? But at the end, they show them situations to better understand the context and how to manage them whenever it happens. For example, how to do a better interview, how to go to a library, how to better communicate with someone in the school. So great experience, great tool, and great project that also I wanted to highlight. Remember, 80% of our adults are unemployed. And that's the reason that I wanted to have at least 5 minutes to talk. And I introduced this topic that at the beginning, maybe it was not in the agenda, but as I was preparing this moment for the World Autism Summit, I realized that it was so important. So I'm gonna do a little overview of this current situation, and I want to introduce the point that we need to make changes in the companies. We need to improve the path that everybody is living in the companies today. We need to improve the process to hire people, and of course to manage the talent once that we have the autistic people in our team. For that, I like to highlight Eurofilms, that is a company, an HR company that is really making a great effort in inclusion and respectful, recognizing diversity, doing events. 2 weeks ago, I was with them doing a great event. And honestly, we talk about talent, about diversity, about inclusion, about respectful, and it was great. And honestly, I believe that I wanted to highlight it here also because they're doing a great exercise of empowering the neurodivergent talent. They're also setting standards for inclusion and they are tailoring training programs. So this is how we need it. Another company that is not Spanish but is European. It's starting in Denmark. Is Specialized Term. This company is now 20 years old and is an organization dedicated to include people with autism and other diagnostics with neurodiversity. They provide training, they do job opportunities, guidance, and of course, they support companies on how to include neurodiversity in their team. So a great opportunity to highlight, and I didn't want to miss this. What kind of challenges we need to face? If I need to just summarize, of course, three. The bias in hiring process is so important. We need to understand that the standard interview as we think need to change because of course, the social skills that autistic people have is reducing the opportunities for autistic candidates. So we need to really better understand the process to hire people, and not just hiring through a CV or even the experience. We should really identify the talent that is needed in our team, and focus on finding this talent and not just the person that is behind. Again, in the companies, as in the society, as I told you, there is a big lack of awareness and stigmas. And that makes that invisible, let me say, difficulties for autistic people are not really saw it in the work environment. And because of that, if people doesn't know that there are these invisible difficulties, then there is no solution. So we need to change the cultural, we need to do a cultural shift, right? And of course, every change in the culture of our companies is done through training, and because of that, we need to improve the training. Let me show you also some strategies that we can do in the companies, right? We need to tailor the onboarding programs. Whenever we have neurodiversity people, we need to offer benefits from this onboarding process. They need to become familiar with the environment. They need to create their own space to be confident. Also, we need to improve the communication process, right? So we need to improve with visual aids, with writing guidelines, with verbal instructions, even at the beginning of each uh, meeting that maybe we arrange. And we need to be totally clear, because sometimes in the companies, and maybe you also live the experience, sometimes you are in a meeting and you don't know the reason, you don't know why you're there, maybe you don't know even what they expect from you. So all these kind of questions must be answered at least at the beginning of the meeting. And something that is also important is to offer flexible working hours and remote work, because that can really support autistic people to really provide their own talent. And when we talk about talent, let me just highlight huge talent that if we're not managing, we are losing in our companies. The hyper focus, pattern recognition, attention to details, the logical and analytical thinking, memory strengths, all these talents must be totally managed. And today, maybe we still have this challenge. A challenge that, of course, we have when when we check also the kind of communications and information that we are managing in our media, in our Spanish media. And for that, I want to highlight some examples and something that maybe we need to face and change. The first thing is that if we analyze the kind of information that we are providing in mass media, there is still a narrow framing of autism. Media often focus on these kind of difficulties that we are facing as families. So we are just showing in our media like the negative events, or even imagine maybe we have a murder or a violent problem with a very bad managed person, and because maybe it's autistic, is like the big reason of the problem, and of course maybe it's not, right? So we need to manage and balance this kind of news with highlighting the achievement and the strength of autistic people. We also have problems with the prime time content. Whenever we check the prime time big TV programs, it's so hard to see autistic histories in front page news or primetime television programs. One of the most important programs, maybe, well, we have now today two big programs with more than 4 million people in front of the TV. That is called El Hormiguero and La Revuelta. Both are now like in a war of who is the best. And the Hormiguero is in the prime time for more than 18 years, and I don't remember still today a good story about this about autistic people. And with Broncano, with La Revuelta, the national television program, he's just starting, but after a while, and even if we check the previous channel that he used to have in the private television, there's still a gap. A positive example, right, is 100% uniques or 100% únicos. That is a great program hosted by autistic people that is doing interviews with very prominent cultural and social figures, including icons like Antonio Banderas, that I hope that you all know. This kind of program is also showing autistic people in a very nice way. They are able to do these questions, and honestly, they are breaking a little bit the what we need, right? But again, it's the only program that I can show you. So imagine the gap is still so high. And how we're gonna do it? Of course, fostering the empathy and understanding for autism. If we need to change the perception of autism, media needs to present a more balanced narrative. They need to emphasize the strength. They need to really show real stories, and not just the people who is really changing the world, like Abraham Arenas, who is autistic, and of course who is, for me again, a world class expert on education. But there are also a lot of histories that we need to show. And until we're not doing that, we need to face a gap that maybe is not easy to break, but I believe that the Spanish society can do it. So, just to finish, as a conclusion, let me just remind you 4 challenges and progress that I've been explaining through this presentation. Of course, we need to increase the autism awareness and maybe improve the misunderstanding and lack of support. We also need to improve family support resources with tools like Empresas Autistas, my book, like the television program the international television program that we are starting, or or of course, Autism Club, Autism Friendly Club, Autism Mind, or any campaign that Autism España is currently doing. When we go to the business, of course, corporate inclusion is a must. We need to improve our workplace. We need to become more inclusive, or even more than inclusive, respectful environments. And as I just said while we were talking about the media, we need to improve the media representation. We need to balance the narrative and avoid and reduce the stigma. How can we do it? Let's do a call to action. Of course, we need to advocate to improve the education. The education is the basement of our society, and until we don't change that, we will still leave the gap for years and years. So, inclusive classrooms, specialized training for teachers, and even new plans for better education needs to happen. So, any policymaker that is listening, please put it in your agenda, right? When we are in, if you are working in a company and you need to hire someone, please review how you're gonna do the interview and how you're gonna find the talent that you need. Of course, as soon as you have or identify the strength and the contribution of these talented people, please do it. And just finish, raise your voice and share your story. As soon as you are next to a statistic person, or you just leave someone that needs to be remarkable and highlighted, just do it. Because if you are impacting five people, it's better than nothing. Small changes start with you, but a small change expands with a better communication, and with that, we can change the world. And because of that, I want to do a commitment with all of you. A true commitment to say that we will do this change. We are currently doing this change, and nobody will stop us. So here, I will never finish, and that's my commitment. And I like you that you are here with me to do it and to support me, because your support will change our world. And as I told you, the communication is the best tool to change the world. So thank you. Let me finish with this, and I'm back. So I hope that you enjoy it, and let's see if you have any question. Please write it in. We are in live, so we can talk. We can see each other if you need it, and of course, if you have any question, I'm here to answer. If not, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Any other question?